Was a little song to start and say a big hello. Cette musique est dédicacée pour toi, Maïwen. Merci beaucoup pour être là. Je te fais plein de gros bisous. Maïwen, je sais que tu aimes cette chanson, donc c'était une petite dédicace pour toi. Bis à tous les potes de TZ. Bienvenue à tous. And we're gonna switch in English. That was a special, it's a special day for someone back home, so I had to do a little shout out to My Wayne, and she loved that song. We Write on the Wall, that's a French song, and that's all the purpose of tonight live stream. We're gonna welcome Emily Bryson. Emily Bryson is an ELT author, material she's got material writer. She's a material writer. Sorry, my French is still in here. ESL lecturer, teacher, trainer, graphic facilitator, and she has up to 20 years experience. You're gonna learn a lot of stuff, and I'm going to learn a lot of stuff with you today. So let's go and start the live. Welcome to the early birds. Here we go. The ESL live stream, the live stream that rocks. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much. It's Sunday night, 9 p.m. Beijing time. Maybe you are another part of the world. It's morning. Just bring a coffee and whatever, tea, if it's in the afternoon for you over there. Thank you for being all here. And we're not gonna wait for any longer. We're gonna welcome my co-host Stu from TEFL Lemon. Hope he's here. Here we go.
And now let's welcome the co-host of the ESL live stream, Streamyard and from TEFL Lemon.
Welcome, Stu. Thank you.
Going?
Oops, I'm right in the middle. Right, I'm all good. And you, how are you doing?
It's good to be back. I've been away for a couple of weeks. I had a special project on, so I've been away, but good to be back, Mike.
Was a good experience, I guess.
Yeah, it was actually. So basically, I was the director of studies for an international program for students coming from around the world. So we had students from South America, from Asia, from Europe.
Oh, wow.
And they came over for an Easter program. And I was the director of studies there, helping to train the teachers, do all the schedules, organize all of the competitions and everything like that. So it was nice to get back into the classroom.
Great. Thank you for being back. I'm so happy to see you with me. And I felt quite alone. I miss you too, right? It's good to say hello as well to everyone in the chat. Hey, we got Paul. Hi, guys. It's always a pleasure seeing you and spending time watching and learning from masters of ELT. Hi, Mike and Stu. Great. Thank you, everyone. Feel free today to leave your message. If you got questions, very, very welcome. Don't be shy. Just give it a try. And I guess, too, you got something coming up very soon. I heard that. I've seen this. What is it? Can you tell us a little bit more about?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, I have a 180-hour higher certificate of TESOL, which is an online level 4 accredited TESOL program. But I've decided this summer to launch a free program. It's a 50-hour, 5-module program for English teachers and people who are interested in beginning to teach, just to kind of get their toes wet. And it's a really good professional development opportunity. And it's completely free. Yeah, so looking forward to that. And it launches on the 22nd of April, so about 1 week away. And then we have the big launch.
Great. So feel free to scan the QR code and check out for more details if you need help. It's always good, personal development is very important as a teacher. So really, that's the right course for you. So we're going to welcome Emily. She's here. So don't wait more. Let's welcome Emily Bryson.
And now let's welcome Emily Bryson.
Rock and roll. Welcome, Emily. Thank you so much for being in the live. It's a great honor to have you with us today. And we are your student, you are the teacher, and we can't wait to see you on the board.
Thanks so much for having me. It's lovely to be here. And what a cool intro. I feel like I'm really on a radio program. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, rock and roll. You got to be a little bit more entertaining sometimes. We can definitely speak about everything and, have a good fun, right? Teachers are just people like everyone, So, yeah, can you please introduce yourself to everyone so that we know you a little bit better? I didn't make mistakes when I was saying that all your expertise, that it's incredible for a teacher. I'm very honored to have you here.
Yep, so thank you very much. Yeah, you were bang on. You were completely correct. Okay. I started teaching in 2001 at a summer school in Poland. And then when I finished university, I went to South Korea and taught there for a year. And then I went back to Scotland and I've been teaching people seeking refuge and asylum for about, since about 2006. And then last year, and while I was doing that, I've been writing lots of materials. I wrote the Voices, I co-authored the Voices series for National Geographic Learning. I've also done the Teaching Through Crisis series for National Geographic Learning, which is a series of teacher development videos for anybody teaching in times of crisis, for example, in a war zone, or teaching people from refugee backgrounds or who have experienced trauma, that kind of thing. Yeah, and I've recently published a book with the Hands Up project. Actually, that's just last week. And these are all activities with drawing around your hands, and it's titled Hands Up for Peace. And all proceeds go to the children that the Hands Up project teaches in Palestine. So really, really worthwhile cause. And really fantastic set of classroom activities that are minimal preparation.
Congratulations. So it's called Hands Up project, right? Yeah.
And the title's Hands Up for Peace. So the project's Hands Up project, and they do a lot of remote theatre with kids in Gaza. And actually, while I was writing it, obviously the war kicked off and the situation worsened, and the Hands Up project have been sharing videos of people's real lives in Palestine, and some of them are really quite harrowing. So while I was writing it, I was thinking, is there any point in writing this? But it felt also like not writing it was giving up hope. And I think the Hands Up Project gives hope to the kids in Palestine because they're still getting those lessons. They're getting a little piece of distraction, a little bit of fun, a little bit of entertainment in really dark times. So yeah, their work's absolutely incredible. I'm very inspired by them.
Great. Thank you so much. So we're going to start. I'm going to show a short video about what you do. It's about pronouns, how to. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the classroom, which is quite very interesting, using doodles, right? Drawing, exactly, and very simple ones, right?
Yeah, super simple ones. So a few years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I was introduced to graphic facilitation. A graphic facilitator came to my college and she showed us some really simple ways to draw on the whiteboard. And I hadn't been drawing for maybe, I don't know, since I was about 15 at school. I stopped drawing when life got serious. And seeing how she drew things really made it very simple to add to the whiteboard. And now if you can imagine a whiteboard that's just all text, students don't have any visual cues to help them memorize things, that sometimes the meaning can get lost if the meaning is not written there. For my learners, lots of my learners were adult literacy learners, so they hadn't learned to read and write in their first script, in their first language, and then were learning how to read and write in English, which was a challenge. So for me, adding doodles to the whiteboard added meaning and added something that they could copy into their notebooks as well, so that they could take it home because they couldn't write a translation for their own language. But essentially, graphic facilitation is using super simple drawings to communicate points. It's usually used it started off in design industries like architecture, engineering, maybe even computing. Big companies such as Google use it, and Microsoft as well, for drawing out ideas. It's a great way to visualize strategy. So it's used actually mostly in kind of business settings, but also obviously in the classroom. Yeah. Drawing isn't anything new in the classroom either. My simplest way to describe it is kind of like a graphic organizer in a way, but with like a visual metaphor added to it. So it's quite hard to explain it without seeing pictures. But yeah, so there's the drawing aspect of it, but there's also the visual template aspect of it. And you can do the visual template aspect of it by having printable templates. So I now create printable templates for teachers as well that they can use online too. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to show you a video from you so that people will understand a little bit better. It's about pronouns, and it's very interesting how to draw this. So that was a very interesting one to see how to. Pronouns are very difficult for people, to draw. I never thought about using pronoun like this in a class. And what's funny, because you saw on Instagram that I posted that video for the live. And yesterday I was teaching some students about this, that, and then you get the plural form as well. And it's always difficult for them to you know, to understand the meaning of this, that, and even when it comes to plural form, it's even more difficult for them. So I try, you know, with colors and and drawing. That what I was doing like a long time. I've been using, I love to draw. Even I always say to the kids, you know, I'm not a good drawer, but I always call that little boy that you can see that I draw, I call it Small Mike. So it has a friendly, you know, for kids. Oh, look, it's Small Mice. Sometimes I'm going to make big ears or make it very ugly. That's Small Mike. So, you know, to make it more fun, to attract and engage students. And I found this myself. And so when I saw your content on that Stu introduced me to your content, I was like, wow, that's that you can do even more. And I never thought about going deeper into the subject. And when Stu said, you know, we should invite her to the ESL live stream, I was like, yeah, man, tomorrow. I'm all good. That was
Yeah,
impressive.
they're all super simple, the drawings. So graphic facilitation is about building your visual vocabulary, and your
Yeah.
visual vocabulary is much like learning a language. You learn how to draw certain icons.
Oops.
And each icon is kind of like a word. So, and so that's basically drawing using the alphabet. And the dog, I don't know if you noticed, it was like a kind of Nike swoosh tick, and then a number 2,
Yeah.
and then a
Yeah.
letter L, and then a triangle. So with drawing, some people believe they can't draw, but in reality, everybody can draw. They just need to, maybe some just need some practice. And the drawing alphabet is basically a series of triangles, lines, squares, and maybe letters as well added on. And then you just put them all together. And it's not art, it's communication. It's not about being Leonardo da Vinci. None of your students want to watch you drawing a masterpiece on the whiteboard. It's about communicating as quickly as you can and being unintimidating so that students can copy it as well. Because if you're going to draw something absolutely beautiful, the students will get scared.
I think that's important, isn't it? It's a lot of teachers don't have confidence. They think, oh, I can't draw. I'm not even going to attempt to draw anything in the board because it will go wrong. I know I can't draw very well. But as you say, a little bit of practice, like a person, a little kind of square or a triangle with a circle on the top, anybody can do that, right?
Yeah. And I've created a series of courses to help teachers do that. So Build Your Visual Vocabulary is the first module. And then there's a sketchnoting module, and then an actual graphic facilitation module where they learn about visual metaphors and visual templates and things like that.
That sounds really cool. So you kind of like unit 1 might be basic skills, and then you can increase up as you move through the course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And actually, Mike kind of touched on something quite important. Mike's in China. I was in China for many years. That's how we know each other. So we taught in China, and the Chinese, they have pronouns, but it's a little bit different. They don't really have plurals. And in spoken Chinese, kind of everything is ta, like he, she, it is ta.
Exactly.
Written, it's different. It's a different character, but in all, it's just ta. So for Chinese speakers, these kind of things, like he, she, things like that, it's very different, actually. So something visual they can refer to will help.
Yeah, and something for them to take home in their notebooks as well. Like if they're going to write down this, that, these, those in their notebooks, and then you go back and you've got a whole page or whole notebook full of boring words. But if you go back and you've got a notebook full of really cool doodles and words, and maybe those doodles are quite colourful, it's obvious which you're going to be more interested in looking at again, and which one you're going to be you're going to remember as well.
That's it. It's super student centered, you know, because if the students has done the doodles, they're probably quite proud of them. And they'll go home, look, and they'll recycle what they thought about in class. They go home, they're thinking about it again. And next time they come back to class, they're going to be much more able and prepped than they would be if they just wrote down the words, put it in their book, probably never looked at the notebook again, and then come back into your classroom cold.
Yeah, like I look at my sketch notes a lot. I go back and I look at them. I don't look at, when I first started going to conferences, I took lots and lots of notes in a notebook. I never looked at it again. And then I started taking them on my phone because I thought I would look at them again. Nah. But then I started sketchnoting, and I look at them all the time. They're there on my socials. I see them again and again. So I'm always reminded of what the content is. And sometimes there's certain things that I'll visualize in my head. When I think of particular topics, I think, oh, I've sketchnoted that, and I'll think of the way I drew it. Yeah. It's a great visual reminder.
Yeah, it really helps with recall.
Yeah. So there's actually... Sorry, on you go.
No, all good. I had another video from you as well. I think it's... just check the video.
This is a story that somebody told me when I was a kid. There was a man, and he got chased by bees. So he ran up a hill, and then he kept running around the hill because they were still chasing him. And he ran around and ran around, and finally he came to some caves. And he went inside the caves, and the bees didn't chase him anymore. What is it?
That one was super impressive. I loved it. It makes me remember I had when I was, that was a long time. That was back in 2003, 2004. I was teaching in a training center, and I had that teacher, a Chinese teacher. Of course, you have like training centers. You get 45 minutes Chinese teacher, English teacher, and 45 minutes foreign teacher. And we had that teacher, a male teacher. And when he was teaching, he was drawing all the time. And that was a whole story. And he was going through the whole vocabulary by just drawing. I never saw him using flashcards. He was drawing all the way with the stories. There are always, when you teach ESL students, you always have dialogue parts. So he would draw literally the book on the board, using his own way, and telling making it even more interesting. It was really a story, and always get the kids engaged and ask them, oh, what is it, and all stuff. What's gonna happen using TPR with this. So it was really, I was like, oh wow, that's nice. So your content make me remember, back 20 years ago, pretty much, when I was teaching in training centers. That was incredible.
So yeah, you remember that teacher. That teacher is really stuck in your head for the reason that teacher was very entertaining, and he obviously made an impression on you. So if you're going to go into a class, and I feel that my students, actually one of my students told me he'd been learning adult literacy for a number of years, just kept going back to the same class, same level. He wasn't progressing. And then he said to me one day, I understand your classes because you draw on the whiteboard. I feel like I'm really this is making a difference to me. I thought, this works. This really.
Yeah. And drawings and
memorable.
Yeah, drawings and doodles, they kind of transcend language, right? So no matter which, who you're teaching, who your audience is, by just drawing doodles and things like that, people connect with it and they understand it. Like a picture tells 1,000 words. And if you're doing stuff like that, it aids with prediction as well. You can ask your students to predict what's going to happen. And then once you move on to that, you kind of keep going with the drawing. They can see if their prediction was correct, and it all helps. It all leads back to recall as well and enjoyment. And you've hit the nail on the head there, Emily, as well. You said, Mike, after 20 years later, still remembers that day. you know, and
Yeah.
it'll be like that with other students as well. If the students have this kind of doodles on their board and they're using it to learn and they can feel the progress that they're making, years to come, they're going to remember your lessons as well.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's great as well for classroom management because the kids are super attracted by by visual things, and you would see them in the classroom. No one was feeling like I gotta look, I'm gonna chit chat with my no. They were all like, yeah, waiting for him to draw, and that was impressive. I was in the classroom watching his class. That's how much was watching other teachers' class is so important.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And the thing
I
is with
remember.
drawing as well, I find it's quite minimal preparation. Like, for example, I've got various visual templates that you can use in different ways. Like, for example, drawing a hill and then a little road. And then that road, I've used that for teaching narrative tenses. I've used it for storytelling. I've used it for setting student goals. I've used it for reflecting. Also used it, you can use it in like team meetings or school strategic planning, or to draw out your own 5-year plan, for example. Like one visual template, one very simple drawing can have multiple uses in multiple different contexts. So your prep time, once you learn them, is reduced massively.
Yeah, and teachers always need something up their sleeve for minimal prep. Something always happens. Like where I was just teaching in Horsham in the south of England, there was a surprise class. Something came up, and we had to just quickly run a class quickly, a 2-hour long class with zero prep. And something like that, I remember when we spoke like probably about 6 weeks ago, wasn't it, or something. I saw the drawing that you made, and it was so simple. It was literally like a hill or 2 hills and a road leading up into the distance. It literally took 5 seconds to draw, and there's so much you can get out of that. Like we discussed it for like 10 minutes, didn't we? And it was just amazing the kind of things that you can get out of it. Writing, you got speak,
and it's not intimidating for students to copy. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really, really cool.
I got another video, so let's check that one.
That's
So
exactly
that was exactly that was the one. Yeah, that was awesome. There's another one as well. So that was the Hands Up project, right? Hands Up for Peace.
Yeah. So I talked about that at the beginning. So actually last year, I was delivering a talk for the Hands Up Project conference after TEFL last year. And the talk was for the National Geographic Learning Teaching Through Crisis series. And in that series, I had interviewed Effie Tsuri, and she had shared this wonderful teaching idea about drawing around your hand and then getting students to write their identities inside it. So their name, where they're from, something they love, and then decorate them. And that generated so much discussion around with workshop participants. Everybody had an idea for drawing around their hands and using it in class, which is your hand's just there. It's super easy to draw around. And so we decided to collate them all. So we collate that the Hands Up Project book is basically a compilation of different ways you can use drawing around hands in class. There's also a couple on hand idioms, and then Paul Dommett did a really lovely one with a kind of hand yoga type thing, which is really cool. So all of that's in there, and I'm really excited about it to have so many cool contributions from it. So that's the story behind it, the story behind the hands book.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I can see you have as well on on your website. You get some freebies and resources. So, what are all those freebies and resources about? Can you tell us a little bit
Oh,
more
wow,
about it?
I've got so many. So freebies, I've
Yeah,
got
okay, so many
introduction.
is good. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, I said that you have that much is awesome for teachers. They really
Yeah.
have to run there.
Yeah, so
Run
there's
to
my
your
YouTube
website.
playlist as well, which is basically where all my collaborative videos, such as the one I did with Stu for TEFL Lemon, and this one will go on my YouTube playlist as well. But the freebies are, so for example, an introduction to graphic facilitation for English language teachers, and in that there's an introductory video with some really common icons that you might use in the classroom, like for example, a notebook, a pen, a laptop, those kind of things that I draw quite frequently. And there's an introductory guide to sketchnoting as well. What else is there? There's a little story that I drew if you teach literacy and you teach phonics. So the sounds
Oh, nice.
there's a little story involving a guy called Stan, and he makes dinner. He puts some pasta in a pan, and I draw all of that out. And there's actually a whole series of that is sitting in a higgledy-piggledy mess that
That's
needs
amazing. That's amazing.
to be put into some sort.
Yeah,
I
do you
need
know
to
what?
create it properly.
I'm really going to go and check this out. Actually, Emily, I'm going to do your course. I'd like to do your course and just learn how to integrate these doodles and just practice doing them and stuff and get them into lots and lots of lessons. Because it's clear that there's so much you can do with it. And I made like a video last week. I've literally just uploaded it now, and it was just about how the board is so important because it's central, it's big, it's everyone can refer to it, it's right dead in the middle, and it's such a useful tool that probably isn't used as much as it could be, right?
Yeah.
Like we write down task instructions on it, or maybe explain some grammar or something like that, and then we move away from it and then we start moving around the class. But actually you can do much more from the board. And I checked out, I did have a quick look at Sketchnote. It's really cheap as well. Like it's not expensive at all, and it's like, and if you're teaching all of the time, it will make your life so much easier, cut down on planning time. Your students understand better, you get better results, you get better outcomes from your learners. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I had the luxury in my classroom of having two whiteboards. Well, one was like an entire wall, and the other was like the side whiteboard that none of the other teachers used. And that side whiteboard, it was in the class where everybody was teaching literacy. So that shared whiteboard became like a giant sketch note of doodles and different sounds and phonics. It was pretty cool looking by the end of the year, even if I do.
I think that's something I'm really into as well, is like building community in the classroom. So all of your students feel as one and they all get to know each other really well. So that hands activity where you're drawing around your hands and you're writing something about yourself, you're sharing it, you're cutting out the hands, sticking it on the wall, talking to one another. You're breaking down the barriers and you're building trust among other students, so they feel empowered to speak up. Maybe some of the shyer students would normally be quite reticent to speak, and because they feel that they trust one another, they're more likely to speak up and to get involved. And you're also going to get less instances of poor behavior as well. It's just builds this whole energetic dynamic of care and support among your students.
Yeah. And actually students don't need to draw. some of my students didn't want to draw, and that was absolutely fine. Like when I first got into graphic facilitation, I maybe became a bit of an annoying teacher you should draw this, try to copy this doodle. And I knew that some students were just kind of, no, I don't want to. So the following year, I thought I would do a bit of non-action research. But so I didn't ask anybody to draw. I didn't encourage them to draw, but I drew myself. And then naturally, some students just started drawing of their own accord because they saw my drawings and they saw that it was easy to copy them. So they just started doing it themselves. So I stopped asking them and just kind of led by example in the end instead.
You must have been quite happy to, I bet you really like looking up and then you can see students drawing. It must have made you really happy.
Yeah. And some of them were just incredibly creative. And it was actually really quite empowering for the students who maybe lack a bit of confidence with their language, but they can really excel at drawing in class as well. And I remember actually when I was a student in my French class, I found myself drawing to concentrate. And I think my French teacher just thought that I was not paying attention, but I think I'm quite a fidgety person. So I think it was something for me to do and it helped me to pay attention, and sketchnoting helped me pay attention. And I remember my French teacher taking that book and throwing it in the bin in front of everybody. It was quite embarrassing, but at the same time, I thought I was learning there, but he just wasn't understanding. And I think it's helpful for students, especially students with a lot of energy. Or who are easily distracted.
Awesome story. I hope. So that French teacher wasn't nice. I guess he would say, "C'est pas bien. Non. Faut pas faire ça."
Yeah. That's awesome. French is really good.
Yeah, I'm French first, so my native language is French. My mother language is French. So I can see that we're 220 in the live. That would be awesome if you can give a like to help all the channel, and feel free to join every Sunday 9 p.m. Beijing time. We're gonna watch again. I love that. I want to watch it again. This video with the dog. I love it. It's so much a nice story. Let's see.
This is a story that somebody told me when I was a kid. There was a man and he got chased by bees. So he ran up a hill and then he kept running around the hill because they were still chasing him. And he ran around and ran and round. And finally he came to some caves. And he went inside the caves and the bees didn't chase him anymore. What is it?
That's impressive. So I'm very curious about it. Like Stu, I really want to do your course. And what I'm wondering is, like, can you, you get your content. How old do you usually teach to students? How old are your students, first of all? I'd like to know.
At the college, so I was there for 16 years-ish, and I taught adults. So if anybody tells you that drawing is for children, don't believe them. Firstly, this our phones that most people are probably watching this on wouldn't exist if it wasn't for somebody drawing them first. And the box that they came in, also somebody drew that. So lots of design thinking. Engineers need to be able to draw, scientists need to be able to draw, even if it's like little diagrams. Drawing is important, and it's not just for kids.
It is.
And the sad truth is that a lot of people like me, I stopped drawing when I was about 15. I went to high school, I finished high school, life got not boring, sensible. And I stopped drawing. And then Google Images came along, and I stopped drawing in the classroom when Google Images came along. But then the problem with using the internet to show a picture is that picture disappears. But if you're putting the picture on the whiteboard and it stays there, then it will be there forever, or for the rest of the class until you rub it off.
And I think the good thing. Oh, sorry, Mike.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think
All good.
just with the dog picture, you could get students to redraw it and retell the story. And so, you know, for example, there was a man, he was being chased by some bees, and he ran up some 2 hills, and he ran around the hill, and then there was 2 caves, and he found safety in the cave from the bees. So you could students could redraw the dog and be telling themselves, be telling their partners, telling you, and it will help them to recall the story as well. So it helps with memory recall and vocab recall.
Yeah. And you could get them to tell what happens next, what happened before. You could get them to draw the same dog and tell their own story. Because actually, I remember how to draw that dog from when I was a child. I remember there was a story to it. That's the correct story. That was just the story that I made up to go with it. But yeah, you could get them to write about that story. You could get them to draw their own, like, for example, a turtle, and then tell a story whilst they're drawing the turtle, or tell a story when they're drawing some other animal or some other object. Lots of different teaching ideas.
Why are the bees chasing him? What did he do wrong? What's he been up to?
Yeah,
exactly. Make questions with it. Get them to answer those questions.
And so what I wanted to ask you, because I'm very curious, I really want to know more about this course. Of course, I'm going to do the course too, with Stu. And then that would be really awesome. I'd love to know, because I think I have a lot to learn, and I'm very interested in how do you integrate it into your class, or is it the whole class? Are you going to draw the whole class, or is just a part of the class? Or I'm very curious in which part of your lesson plan you're going to add this, and that's maybe what old teachers would ask.
That's a very, very good question. So, as I mentioned, I also co-authored Voices for National Geographic Learning, so I am a proponent of this course book. I used a lot of published resources in my classes. Like I really love the ELLI, which was formerly ESL Library, content. It's really great for teaching literacy. There's a lot of low-level stuff on there. So I used a lot of that. So just like any other regular class, I did a lot of regular teaching, as you would teach the course book. But there'll be certain aspects and activities that I'll think that's going to work better with a graphic organizer, or that's going to work better by adding a big doodle on the whiteboard. Like in graphic facilitation, we use a term called containers, or a container activity. A container is basically a large icon that people can add their ideas to. So you might like draw, for example, a big light bulb, and then inside the light bulb, students come up and add their ideas, either with Post-it notes or with a whiteboard marker, or you could get them to copy it into their notebook and then add their ideas there and talk about them. So I might, whilst teaching with the course book or a worksheet, I might think about adding a container activity, if there's, depending on what the context was, for example. I would need to probably have a look at a worksheet to kind of apply it, or like a teaching, like for example, family. You could maybe get them to draw their family just with like those simple little N's with O's on top, and then you could get them to describe the family by writing inside the head, which would be a container. Does that make sense? I feel like I need to
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So basically, you through your Googles, you're creating like a space rather than just like a box, like a text box, something like you're used to. Like the light bulb one. So you might have a giant light bulb, and then students can come and write down, like you say, their ideas or interesting words that they've learned. And you can get really cool post-it notes these days. It's not just yellow square ones. You can get little hearts and like a fluorescent one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I give one out to each student, and I have to write down a topic that they've enjoyed so far this semester, or something like that. And yeah, and just come and put real color in your classroom and energy and life into your classroom.
Yeah. So actually, one of the things you could do, for example, during listening activities, I often find that one of the issues with a listening activity is that we give students big, long questions to read. So not only are they listening, but they're reading a big, long question. And so they're not focusing just on the listening. They're thinking, what was the question? What am I answering? But actually, if you break the listening activity down into a series of pictures, like, for example, a circle with a little L shape inside it could be the clock, if you're asking them when did it happen. And then they're only looking at those 5 icons or 4 icons. And then that's like the processing load instantly reduced. So they're not focusing on having to read lots of text while they're trying to listen to something. For example, so basically creating your own graphic organizer, which is, but we're using icons instead of boring boxes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think also with listening as well, if you can like activate the student schema. So you might draw a picture before the listening task. So they're thinking about an experience they might have had that involved, a clock or a car or whatever it may be, and they're thinking about it themselves. And when you hit them with the listening, they're ready to absorb it, and you're going to get far more from your listening task by just like adding in a quick little doodle.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point, just for activating schemata right at the beginning of class as well. One simple doodle. And actually, sometimes if you do that one simple doodle, sometimes it can have a bit of a dogma approach where you go in with one simple doodle and then end up getting an entire class out of it.
Oh, I can't wait. I want to do it.
So how long this is your course? No, I was hearing like boom, boom. Someone is knocking at the door, maybe. No. So how long is that course? Your course? You have a lot of different courses. I found on your. I've seen on your courses pages that you get the link. You guys can just scan if you want to know more about it. It's very interesting. You get a lot of courses. What are all those courses about?
Okay, so the first one's build your visual vocabulary, which is about developing your drawing skills as a vocabulary, as a communicative means of expression, not as art. So instead of learning how to draw a person as a really intricate person, just drawing a little N with its own. So that's the build your visual vocabulary one. And then introduction to graphic facilitation. That's where you do kind of creating your own, to simplify it, graphic organizers, but in graphic facilitation we call them visual templates. And I think the difference really between a graphic organizer and a visual template is that there's a bit of a visual story behind it. So for example, that mountain that I drew, that's a visual template. And the story could be whatever you make it. So a starting point, start from here, end at the top of the hill, for example. So there's a bit of a visual metaphor of a pathway in that. And then we use things like hot air balloons, for example, to talk about things that lift you up and things that drop you down. And then the other course is sensational sketchnoting. So that takes on, that looks at how, well, basically different ways, different containers that you can use, different lettering you can use, different ways to lay out your sketch note. Like maybe you start at the top, or maybe you add a metaphor. Like I created a sketch note yesterday actually for somebody as a commission, and it was a tree as a metaphor. And at the core there was well, I don't want to give it away. You'll see it hopefully on socials soon. Keep an eye out for it. And okay, there's other courses that I did in collaboration with other people. Like I did one on Pronunciation with Gemma Archer. Gemma Archer's she's just released a book with Robin Walker on global Englishes. She's an absolute legend when it comes to pronunciation. She really, really knows her stuff, and she takes a prawn English as a lingua franca approach to teaching. So focusing on one correct accent, there's one correct accent, but instead focusing on intelligibility and embracing different accents from around the world. She did my course actually, and because she did my course, she's got a very visual brain too, and so we created a lot of cool visual tools for teaching pronunciation. The other collaboration was with Chris Walclett, and he's an expert on using music in the classroom. So we added some musical doodling, so a bit of drawing. There's lots of drawing the story of, like, for example, if there's a song with a story in it, we drew that. I've forgotten the name for it. You know, when you hear a song, when you're listening to a song and you get the words wrong, there's a name for it. But anyway, we drew those as well.
I get the words for songs wrong all the time. I've been singing it for years. And
like common mishearings.
I've been saying something else for years.
Yeah.
I actually
exactly, but there's a word for that, and I can't remember what it is. Chris will know it instantly. But I
interviewed.
And the other one.
Sorry, Emily. I interviewed Gemma Archer the other day, but I haven't managed to get it up yet because I've been doing this director of studies thing. But in the next couple of days, I'm going to be getting that up, and we talked about intelligibility and pronunciation and everything. We had a really good chat, and I think TEFL is next week. Yeah, we're going to be meeting up at TEFL and we're going to be listening to her.
Oh, cool.
So it should be really cool.
I've got to talk with her tomorrow morning, actually.
Please say hello to
I'm not going to TEFL, but I'm dialing in to chat to her or to show some of those activities.
I'll be there watching.
I think people can sign up to TEFL pronunciation special interest group workshop tomorrow. I don't know how to do that, but I think people can dial in from all over the world. So I think it's one of the few events
just today. Yeah, super looking forward to that. If one of the teachers watching this live stream right now wanted to do your course, kind of how long would it take to complete the course?
It depends how long they practice for. I would recommend spending a bit of time and practicing, and like, for example, the first time you draw something, I think it probably takes about 10 practices to get it into your motor skills, which is actually why it's good to do the modules together, because if you do just the Build Your Visual Vocabulary one, then you won't have the excuse to practice. Whereas if you do the Introduction to Graphic Facilitation and the Sketchnoting one, if you do them all at the same time, you'll get the excuse to practice. So Build Your Visual Vocabulary, I would say, probably takes 2 to 3 hours, but I think it could take up to 6 or even longer, depending on how often you practice it.
Wow.
The Graphic Facilitation one, maybe 6 hours. And then sketchnoting, probably 2 hours as well. But the sketchnoting one, I would say that you definitely need to do with Build Your Visual Vocabulary at the same time.
So you could basically,
I think Build Your Visual Vocabulary you need to do first, really, before you go on to the Graphic Facilitation one or the sketchnoting one.
Yeah, so
I should probably make sure that everybody does that together.
So just like over a weekend or a couple of evenings or something, you could learn how to do these kind of doodles and implement what we're talking about in this live stream into your classes.
Yeah, and actually some of the feedback I've got, somebody said that they love doing my course from a sun lounger in Turkey. So they basically took it on holiday with them. It's not your usual professional development course. It's fun to learn how to draw. Yeah. And it's fun to get colourful, and it's fun to get the pens out and to go to the stationery shop and treat yourself to new pens. So yeah, it's fun, and I think, you can do it anywhere. It's not like you're not going to be reading research. You're not going to be writing essays. you're going to be learning something super practical that you can use instantly in
Yeah,
the
so many
classroom.
courses are so boring, and you kind of like regret taking them. You don't, and importantly, when you a lot of times you take a course and you're disappointed. You're like, I didn't. That wasn't what I thought it was, right? So I think
Yeah, but yeah, everyone that's taken my course has raved about it, so
cool,
I'm pretty chuffed.
cool. Well, I will. I will
It's
definitely be doing it next month for sure. I promise you.
yeah, and
Oh,
it's
yay!
it's very visual, so it's different from other courses because you have it engages the people who are doing the course because you get to draw, you get to practice, and you get to try to see how to improve that. And like you said, like we were saying backstage, you can add and change, maybe you make it your own style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yesterday, I think you drew something that had a little sword on it. Like, yeah, you basically took the pronouns video and then you added a little sword, which was like an extra little bit of fun, which is really cool. So yeah, I like that. Yes.
Well, that's how I'm not very good at drawing because, in fact, that sword was just the hand to show that he's pointing at
Uh-huh.
something. So the hand was bigger.
Okay.
That was the fact for show them. I always like to when I practice this and that with students. I always like to maybe use after I show them this, maybe I'm gonna let them practice, put the cards, the flashcards on the floor, some of them close, others far, so that's why I always point when then
Nice.
it's in ESL. Yeah, that's pretty much the way we teach it. We're gonna say basic way, but drawing, yeah, it's so important when you can't use students' native language, and you don't have to use their, for example, for me, I can speak Chinese very well. There's no problem, so I can make myself understood. Instead, they have to understand that learning a language is not all about, oh, I translate and then I know, because they're not going to remember. They have to think. They have to think about. They have to guess. I've learned three foreign languages, and I'm always on the. I like to ask questions. What does it mean? Or I like to listen a lot, and I'd like to, how is it? What I was saying at the beginning, which is very important, is to listen, asking, and the last one, what was it? I forgot where when I was pointing out, but yeah, it's always very important to drawing stuff on the board. I used to draw that. It makes me remember as well when back when I was 4 years old, we had that little folk festival in my hometown, and we would host people from coming from a lot of different countries. But that year, when I was 4 years old, that was with Chinese people. That I always been so close to China, even when I was young, and so these people came to our house, and my dad and mom couldn't speak English. And these Chinese people coming from Liaoning, they couldn't speak English too. So they were drawing to make themselves understood. They were drawing, they wanted to know the life cost level in China and in France. So they would draw eggs. In France, obviously, when you buy eggs, you got to buy 12 eggs. So they would draw 12 eggs and the price next to it. And then Chinese people would, because in China they don't buy 12 eggs, is gonna be 500 gram of eggs. So it's gonna be, I saw them since I was young that they were drawing all the time to communicate. And I kept this in my mind. When I can't make myself understood, uh, I'm gonna draw. Even if it's ugly, I'm gonna try to find a way to draw. And
Yeah,
that
it's
was
all it's
always
not art, it's communication, and everyone should feel the fear
exactly.
and draw anyway. That's what I always say.
Exactly. It's not. It's not. It's. That's true. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Emily. We're gonna stop here for today. It's been an hour being in your company. I thought it was like 10 minutes. It went so fast.
Already
So
so fast.
when
Yeah, it's great fun. Thank you
yes,
very much.
when it's a pleasure to be your student, and I can't wait to be your student in your course. I'm definitely gonna join and hope you guys too can join. Feel free to go on Emily's courses. Very good for personal development if you are an ESL teacher, whatever, if it's kindergarten till adults, right, Emily? Even with adults, you
Yep,
use those strategies, right?
yep. Everyone
So
likes
feel
fun in the
free
classroom.
to
You don't need to be a child to like fun in the classroom.
100%, definitely.
exactly because what we've learned with pleasure, we never forget.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was a quote from Alfred Mercier, a French teacher back in America. All right, that was a little quote. I would like to say a big thank you to you, Emily. That was awesome to have you here. And I'd like to say as well a big thank you to Stu, because without you, Emily wouldn't have been on the ESL live stream.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
to both
much,
of
guys.
you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. Oh, I've just got just one question actually. I've got just before we leave, Emily.
Oh, good.
Just quickly, I just come across. Is there is there ever a time when you wouldn't use doodling with
Oh,
what kind of ages might because
Mm.
some teachers might try and give this a go, maybe if students are a little bit too young or whatever. Yeah, is
I
there
think just try it
any
and see what
advice?
works with your students. And I think it depends on the template, for example, like for example, that mountain template, it's quite grown up pathway. But yeah, I've used everything with my adult learners. But
Yeah,
I knew them well, and over time they just got to know me in that way. Um, but I think if it works for your students, then it works for your students. But I think also bear in mind that graphic facilitation is very commonly used for business coaching, so it would work really well in a business classroom. Like actually, I've just released a pack of visual templates called visual. Oh, what's it called? Pathways to Success, and it's all about goal setting, self-evaluation, reflection, and they can be used with the students in a general English class, with business students, with schools, with teaching teams to think about their own success, with yourself as a teacher for your own professional development. You can use the ideas for yourself in lots of different ways. So
brilliant,
yeah, I think
brilliant.
just give it a go, see what works, play around, and then if you like a particular template or a particular doodle or a particular visual metaphor, you can use it again and repurpose it.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Emily. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're gonna free you because it's Sunday. Is it Sunday morning for you?
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock here in Argentina.
Okay, great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Emily, for being able to share your expertise on the ESL live stream. It has been an awesome live. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you
thanks a lot.
very soon in another live. Why not? Keep in
Yeah,
touch. We keep
hopefully.
in touch, and we're gonna definitely take your course and be your student. And you're welcome anytime
Look forward to
on
that.
the ESL live stream.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being on and great fun.
Right. Stu, you wanted to say anything
No,
to Emily? All
yeah,
good?
that's it. That's it for me. Yeah, just Emily, thank you again for coming on. You're always so just give me such inspiration about new things you can try. You know, I've been teaching for 20 plus years, and I've never really kind of used Doodles and stuff. It's never too late to change and introduce and add things to the way that we teach, and we should always try to do the things like this, right? So thank you for giving me the inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Emily. See you next time. Have a nice day then. Thanks. Because the day is starting.
Yeah, have a good
See you, Emily. Thank you.
Bye. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was awesome to have
That was
Emily.
awesome,
Thank
right?
you so much. Thank you so much, Stu, for recommending Emily for the ESL live stream. It's really awesome. Then we might also have other teacher. You on your YouTube channel, actually, you have an interview. You just made an interview with I can't remember the name of this.
Yeah. So basically.
Person.
Yeah, so for my course, what I'm doing now, I'm interviewing industry experts within each topic on the course. So
That's awesome.
Teaching vocabulary, teaching grammar, teaching speaking, teaching pronunciation, and I want to speak to 2 experts. You know, as time goes by, more and more and more for each module in the course. So I've spoken now to Emily. She was the first person I spoke to, and we talked about continuous professional development. I spoke to Gemma Archer about teaching pronunciation, who Emily mentioned in today's live stream, and I've spoken to
Gemma Archer.
Hugh Deller about teaching vocabulary, and he's epic about teaching. So many ideas from that guy. He's really awesome. So yeah, you can check that out as well. So it's on my channel, on my YouTube channel.
And I hope we can invite them on the ESL live stream so they can share to our teachers community. That would be really beneficial.
Yeah. I'll reach out to all of the people that I've just spoken to, and we'll get them on. We're going to start getting some really good guests for 2024. So watch this space.
Thank you so much, Stu. So I'll be here as well for the launch of your course, right? You get a 50, not the launch of your course, but the promotion, actually, if we can say it like this.
So I'm starting a 50-hour TEFL course. It's completely free. 5 great units. You've got supplementary materials and language activities, classroom management, lesson planning, how to teach speaking and writing, and how to teach vocabulary. All of those interviews are going to be in there. Audio content, video content, really cool quizzes, really good for professional development. And you get a certificate at the end, and it is completely free from start to finish, no cost at all. And that will launch on Monday, the 22nd of April. And so it's not live yet, so I can't give the link yet, but after next Monday, I'll be able to give the link, and people can log on, register, and start learning completely for free.
That's awesome. And like Paul was saying, you might include drawing part of Emily's course into your TEFL full course and make it more valuable as well. True.
Yeah. So Paul is one of our trainees on the course, a really, really cool trainee. And so what we do on our TESOL course, I add to it all of the time. So always updates. And so, I'm going to put in the power of doodling and some of Emily's ideas into the TESOL course as well. So that will be happening over the next few weeks.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I hope you can make it for next week. Maybe we can share the link a little bit before the 22nd.
I think so. Well, let's see. Let's see what we can do.
Thank you so much, Stu. That was awesome to have you, to see you. I've been missing you. And I'll see you next week on the ESL live stream. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to give some likes and subscribe if you like give some likes is going to help us, spread the word that we are trying our best to help you with your class. Like today, that was something completely new, maybe for you, maybe for me, it was. Uh, you always had the idea of doodles, and of course, you know that you can use your board to draw, but to go deeper into it, never thought that we could do even far better than just a drawing. And thank you so much again to Emily, and thank you so much again to you, Stu. See you next week, Stu.
Yep. See you later. See you later, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. The ESL live stream, the teachers live stream. See you guys. Bye-bye.